Edit that out.
Edit that out. No, there's no editing here.
Oh,
Self-love is uncensored. Self-love is uncensored.
That's a good tagline.
I know, it's true though.
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow, yeah.
Welcome back to the road to self-love. It's your boy Paul Fishman, self-love coach and you do you activist, here today with Kayla Logan.
Hello.
Hello. And if you're watching the Cliff Notes version on YouTube and you're listening here and you didn't know, you can head on over to YouTube and watch. But today, Kayla and I, we don't have our shirts on.
No, we do not.
Kayla, can you first of all introduce yourself, and second of all, tell us why we don't have our shirts on?
Okay, so my name is Kayla Logan. You can find me at Kayla Logan Vlog, and I am a self-love advocate and body positivity, I guess, advocate again.
Warrior.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. That's so much better. And today we did this self-love photo shoot where Paul and myself had to write words on each other that we thought represented one another. So yes, we have our own internal thoughts of what the world sees us as, but what do others see of us? And that's what we were expressing. So Paul came up with this great concept that we should film the podcast after the photo shoot with the words all over our bodies, feeling empowered and excited. And that's what we're doing.
So Kayla, you aren't from San Diego, but
No.
how did you end up here in San Diego?
It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
So I'm on a North American body positive tour. So I'm from Toronto, and at first it's supposed to be a Canadian body positive tour where we stopped in every single province on the way to Vancouver, and you pose in either lingerie or swimwear to get empowered and liberated. All humans are welcome, including children. And that just naturally progressed into this North American West Coast journey that led from Seattle to Portland to LA to San Francisco, and now I'm in the beautiful San Diego.
So the way that you and I connected is you found me on Instagram and then you invited me to your LA shoot, and it was at a time in my life where, and this was just a couple weeks ago, but I was feeling really down about what was going on in my body, and it's been about a year since I left being a part of the fitness world as an instructor, and have gained quite a bit of weight since I left that, and it's been hard for me to come to terms with that. So when I got this message from you inviting me to strip down to my underwear and pose at the underneath the Venice Beach sign, I was like, you know what? This is a sign, I gotta do this. Where did this whole concept, this idea come from? How did it start?
Okay, buckle in everyone.
I was in California a couple years ago. I was working in public relations, and then I decided to travel down the Pacific Coast Highway from Mexico to Vancouver. And in that time, I went through a lot of depression, I gained a lot of weight, and I got home, and the first thing that said was to me by my grandmother was, wow, you really got fat, didn't you, while you were away? Like, self-esteem just crushed in that exact moment, and I went into this deep depression for 6 months. And I remember telling them, like, I would rather be dead than live alive and be fat. And I truly believe that I had no worth on this planet if I was fat. It's so sad to say out loud now, but that's how desperate I was to be thin. I thought that being thin equaled being healthy, being worthy, being deserving of love and happiness. So I started it off as a weight loss journey, and I was like, I'm gonna document losing 100 pounds realistically. Like, I'm gonna show the cellulite, I'm gonna show the loose skin, you know, the hard moments where you're craving food at midnight and having a mental breakdown over it and wanting to cheat. Then I came up with this brilliant concept. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pose both at iconic places and just regular places, like, you know, your local Starbucks in my underwear. And throughout this weight loss journey, I'm gonna show that you're beautiful at every shape and size. Now, I had already at that point lost about 40 pounds. I was on the Dr. Bernstein's diet. You get injections 5 days a week of B12 and B6. You're pretty much only allowed to have an intake of 800 calories a day, which is not sufficient for any human being whatsoever. And it's all monitored by nurses and doctors to make sure you're in ketosis. It really wasn't a healthy means of doing things. So while I'm doing this, my family and I, we go to Nova Scotia, and I pose at my first real iconic place, Peggy's Cove, like, wow, world monument. And I just felt so empowered and beautiful. And I came home and I realized that when I was a size 2 and thin, I didn't love myself. Now that I'm like 200 pounds, I don't love myself. So the issue really isn't my weight. The issue is self-love. The issue is me. And it's not gonna matter what size I ever am. This is gonna continue to be a problem if I don't learn how to love myself. And the hardest thing I ever did was I quit the diet. I decided I was going to continue on this self-love journey, and I was going to be as real and honest and vulnerable as I could be. And then people asked to start joining in. And like, I can't explain why stripping down to, personally, I do it in my underwear. Some people do it in swimwear. And I can't explain like why being at my most vulnerable makes me feel my strongest. But this is legitimately how I've gained all my confidence.
I love that.
It makes me feel so strong being so vulnerable. That's where it was born out of. And now it's just created this eclectic community of people and love. And
that's why I wrote leader on you.
Thank you.
Leader and determined. When I was little, I remember gaining like 60 pounds in 1 year, and my mom was like, hey Paul, like maybe you want to slow down with the treats and everything. And our parents are just doing their best, but like these types of things really got to me and
have a lasting impact on children.
Absolutely. What are some things that you found can support you feeling better about yourself?
So I would have a lot of negative thoughts that weren't true. What I did through cognitive behavioral therapy is I learned these coping mechanisms. So when I had negative thoughts like that, I would turn them around into more positive, and I would stop them. Once those negative thoughts started coming, I'd say no. And I would replace that negative self-talk with positive talk. And I'd say, you are beautiful, you are worthy. And you know what? At first, I didn't believe them. This didn't happen overnight. I don't love myself 100% of the time, but I do 70-80%. And to me, that's winning. And that took just saying little positive things to myself over and over again, and looking at the photos, like having to take a real look at my body and say that there's no such thing as normal. There's no such thing as having the perfect body. I remember at my thinnest thinking, oh my God, I'm so fat. And now that I'm at my fattest, I finally love myself, because it's like you just need to value yourself where you are right now. It took over a year, I think, to finally look at a photo and be like, oh, make sure you get those rolls in that photo, because I want to show people that that's beautiful and normal. And when I said it, I'm like, whoa, that would have never happened a year ago.
Yeah, and that is absolutely something to be proud of. And I love that your mission is just kind of spreading like wildfire, because it's so cool. So you've clearly built this community. Like, what would you say to someone who has a calling to do something, but they're scared? Because I'm sure that there's been fear that's come up for you.
I have fear around a lot of things. I can't overthink something before I do it. I just have to do it. If I have an idea, I'm on that idea within 24 hours, because if I wait any longer and I start trying to plan it logically, I will convince myself why I'm not worthy or have the confidence in order to do it.
I think it's a perfect time to play our first road trip game.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
So I'd love to play the association game with you.
Okay.
So basically what's gonna happen is I'm gonna say a word, and then you're gonna say the first word that pops into your head that makes you think of it. And then I'm gonna say the first word that pops into my head from the word that you said. The first word that I'm going to say is fat.
Shame.
Anxiety.
Fear.
Compass.
Destination.
Journey.
Long.
Strong.
Proud.
Belief.
Dream.
Sleep.
Awake.
Smile.
Happy.
Joy.
Wonderful.
John Mayer.
Okay.
Okay. Played out.
Player.
Your body is a wonderland. That's
I know, I'm like dancing. I'm like doing a little body shake there.
That's beautiful. I think that's enough of the association game. We made it. Thanks for indulging me for that road trip game. So I want to know, like, what's next?
Ideally, I'd love to shoot in San Diego again, then do LA, just the whole coast. And then I'd go across Canada on the West Coast doing the same. And I'd come home to Toronto. Whoop, whoop. I was gonna say like 6.0, and then I felt really lame about it.
So let's just like kind of think like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, like where do you see yourself?
I've been considering writing a book on this journey and sharing the people's stories that have taken part. On top of that, I'd love to bring education into the schools, specifically elementary schools, because body image and issues surrounding it is developed by around 5-6 years old. Eating disorders happen quite at a young age as well. I don't know what that looks like quite yet, and I also want this to go international.
What is the best mistake you ever made?
I don't believe in mistakes, because I believe that if you've learned from every experience you had, then it's not a mistake and it's not a regret.
Well, amen. There you have it. So I'd love to play our next road trip game.
Okay.
This is a game that I play with every single one of my guests. And like I said, self-love is uncensored. Okay. So we are going to play Fuck, Marry, Kill. Have you played this game before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Photo, video, or the written word?
I would marry videos.
Okay.
Because I feel like a video can capture a lot. I would fuck photo shoots because they make me feel so good. Oh, but I love reading and I love books, but I'm sorry I have to kill you. Oh!
So, and then what does self-love mean to you?
Ooh. Intrinsically loving yourself for the qualities that you possess, not necessarily the physical attributes. Where you are in that moment of time, and accepting that and embracing it, just like you would love a significant other.
Just like, thank you so much for joining me on the road. Like, tell me, where can everyone find you? How can they support you? How can they get involved?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Kayla Logan blog. You can find me on Facebook at Kayla Logan, and you can find me on YouTube at Kayla Logan. Website coming soon.
Kayla, is there any last thing that you'd like to share with everyone here?
I think just love yourself for who you are, and thank you for listening, and you're all beautiful.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next time on the road to self-love. Bye.
Bye.